Hello, Alliance family. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's time with God the Father as you meditated on John chapter 12, verses 1 through 11. I also encourage you to continue yesterday's fasting Lent as a project. As we begin day 2 of our 40 days of decrease, a different kind of hunger, a different kind of fast, I want to start by sharing this quote. Christian spirituality, the contemplative life, is not about us. It's about God. The great weakness of American spirituality is that it's all about us, fulfilling our potential, getting the blessings of God, expanding our influence, finding our gifts, getting a handle on principles by which we can get an edge over the competition. The more there is of us, the less there is of God. That was written by author Eugene Peterson. As we begin today's devotion, the scripture for reflection is John chapter 12, verses 12 through 19. Though uttered with reference to his culture, Eugene Peterson's insight has global relevance, for it reveals the church's spiritualization of an insatiable narcissism. Self cannot satisfy self, no matter how frequently it feasts. Lent is a much-needed mentor in an age obsessed with visible, measurable, manageable, and tweetable increase, for it invites us to walk with Jesus and his disciples through darker seasons that we would rather avoid, seasons like grief, conflict, misunderstanding, betrayal, restriction, rejection, and even pain. Then Easter leads us in celebration of salvation as the stunningly satisfying fruit of Jesus' sacrifice decrease. A thoughtful Lenten journey directly confronts our modern obsession with increase and introduces us to unexpected friends and spiritual formation. At least since the Council of Nicaea in AD 325, Lent has been a 40-day communal focus upon the most disillusioning season of the first disciples' lives. Jesus, having confessed to be the Messiah, prophesies his soon-coming death. Jesus, who commands winds and waves, allows himself to be arrested. Jesus, who bests the brightest Pharisees and Sadducees, refuses to defend himself when falsely accused. Jesus, who raised others from the dead, chooses not to save himself. In Jesus' journey crossword, the disciples' illusions of what Jesus could and should do with his power were shattered by the reality of what Jesus actually did with his power, and their personal illusions of commitment unto death were shattered by the reality of fear-inspired self-protection. Meditating upon Jesus is suffering, and the disciples' disillusionment creates a framework within which we can spiritually process our own loss of illusions and gaining of realities. This is critical because, in the words of Dr. Dan B. Allender and Dr. Tremper Longman III, reality is where we meet God. Therefore, as Jesuit Robert F. Taft eloquently said, through Lent, let us enter into the desert of our hearts, where, removed from side issues, we face what we are, and in conjunction, penthos, over that reality. Let us die to self so that we may live for others, as we make vigil before the coming of the Lord. Well, here's today's reflection. French monk Bernard of Clairvaux spoke of 4 degrees of love in his little book on the love of God. Love of self for self's sake, love of God for self's sake, love of God for God's sake, and love of self for God's sake. In light of Eugene Peterson's quote that began today's reading, ponder the difference between Clairvaux's 1st and 4th degrees of love. Now here's today's fast. Approaching a fresh endeavor can be both energizing and stressful. New is inspiring, new is enlightening, and new is, oddly enough, a reminder of what is now old. When fresh beginnings are stalked by the memories of stale endings, a sickly substance can steal our strength: regret. Regret empties anticipation, it flattens dreams and suffocates hope, because regret is a form of self-punishment. Whereas hindsight helps us learn from the past, regret beats us up with the past. So for one entire day, or go for all 40, I invite you to fast regret. Don't feed it. Don't give it space. Let it go. God's mercies are new every morning. Lamentations 3:23 reminds us of that. And meditate on Jesus' glorious promise from Revelations 21:5. I am making everything new. Well, that ends our time together. Now it's your time to spend with God, and it's my prayer that you'll decrease so God can increase in your life. Until we meet again, God bless you.